Welcome back, everybody. We're the three guys. There's a wall out there somewhere, and we're going to get over it, all right? Welcome back to Remember the Moment. We're storytellers. We love creating, and we love talking about things that other people have created, specifically in the realm of film. Today, though, we're breaking some ground. We're going to talk about a TV series.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty popular fall-related TV series. You know it, you love it, maybe not. Over the Garden Wall, starring
Ooh.
Elijah Wood and company. Pretty spectacular fall themed, little spooky, scary. Really great symbolism in this show. All right, so we're gonna dive right into some of our thoughts on this wonderful show, guys. Why don't you all introduce yourselves and we'll get into this.
Dude, thank you, Ethan. My name is Ryan.
My name's Isaac. Let's dive right in.
Dude, let's go. What were you guys' first impressions when you first watched this ever? And when was
Oh,
that?
can I remember that far back?
Mm.
This show came out in 2014,
Yes,
and
on Cartoon
so
Network.
on Cartoon Network, and
Mm-hmm.
man, I watched it last night for the first time.
Whoa.
In preparation for the show, I have always heard good things about it. I just never had seen it myself. Just always been one of those things I missed out on. And so I watched it last night, and my first impressions, I can see why people really like it. It took me a little bit, I will say, like maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes, I wasn't sure if I was bought in or not. I was like, it's all right. And then about I think episode 4 or 5, it just started clicking with me, and a lot more of the emotional stuff near the end really got. I liked it a lot, and there was a lot of good connection, and I see why people like it a lot, and I can say I enjoyed it and I like it. Might I might make it a fall tradition. Who
Wow.
knows?
Whoa,
Who
Wow, a
knows?
that's a
yearly
big
thing.
statement. I think
That's
that's kind
awesome.
of where it fits. Is it kind of has a moment if when you're in the fall season that this show just real like I don't think I would want to go back and watch this again during the summer or spring because
Mm,
it's like you don't watch Christmas movies at those times
Yeah.
because it kind of isn't connected to the magic of the season. But I think this goes well with that. I didn't hear about this show. I didn't know anything about it until like a year and a half ago. Someone mentioned it in passing, and I immediately forgot about it. So I knew virtually nothing about the show until I watched it about a month ago for the first time. It was I think about a week before Halloween, and some friends were like, "Dude, it's spooky season. You should totally watch Over the Garden Wall." And I was like, "All right." So me and my wife turned it on. First episode. I think I really enjoyed like the art design and the score first before I really got into the story. Like I was like, oh, this is really comfy cozy. Like I like the vibe of the show, and that got me before the story of the show
yeah,
got me. So yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this because
yeah.
as it went through, kind of like with Isaac, as it went through the shows, I you became more invested in not just like, oh, this is a really nice, like aesthetically pleasing show. I'm like, oh, this actually has a really neat kind of underlying story that's going on here. So
That surprises me that you haven't seen it before this, because I'm like, this
yeah,
is your sense of humor in some ways.
yeah,
Like even me and Annalie watched the first episode, and before we did, Annalie was like, "Remember how Ethan and Riley say beans for everything sometimes? So like that's so
yep,
beans or whatever." And in the first episode, uh, Greg's like, "Oh, beans," and she just like looks at me like,
yeah.
"That's
Okay,
so
so
them."
context for that, just for you,
Uh,
we didn't realize that we did get that from Over the Garden Wall
that's
from
so
that
funny.
guy who told us about it a year and a half ago. He would always say beans,
Wow.
and we took it from him, and he took it from over there. So we had a similar experience when we saw it for the first time. We were like, "That's where that comes from." So
That's so
yeah,
funny.
Full
yeah.
circle.
There
That's
you go, full
crazy.
circle moment for you.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. For me, I started watching Over the Garden Wall. I think it was 2015, probably around
Wow.
there.
He's an OG.
I know Gier.
Yeah. And when did it come out? Maybe
I
I think
think
it's
it came out
2014.
2014.
2014. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was with some friends who they love this series, or I mean, yeah, I guess it's a mini series. So they introduced it to us, and we'd go over to their house and we'd watch it. And we didn't watch it in like one sitting. It was kind of like a weekly thing we'd go over and we'd watch like
Mhm.
2 or 3 episodes or something. So I think we watched it over the course of like 3 weeks. And that was a fun experience because it was like trying to like remember back to like the last a
Mm.
few weeks ago in those episodes, and then like the the end happens and all the twists and turns of it, and it's like wow, like really mind blowing because you're just kind of like you get to sit with it longer and think about it, and it's not just like a day watch. So it was really it was a fun experience then, and my first impressions of the show was like uh I think I'm trying to think back because it was a while ago. I really enjoyed the friends that I had, and I was, like, into everything that they were into, and I don't think it was something that I would've necessarily watched on my own without them
Mm.
introducing it to me, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, without them being there. Like, I think if someone just showed it to me and it wasn't them, I still would've liked it, and,
Yeah.
uh, I'm not one to, like, listen to the music or notice things like that, especially at that age. But, uh or even, like, the story. I think it was more, like, the humor side of it I really enjoyed,
Mm.
and, the characters were just, like, fun to me. Like, the brother, like, I'm just a sucker for brothers in stories, so
Wow.
I just related to that, and enjoyed
Yeah.
that aspect of it a lot. So, my first impressions, I really enjoyed it. And then this was actually my second time watching it, was this last week. So,
Oh
as
wow.
much as I say I really enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it enough to watch it again. Or maybe I just didn't
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
way to watch it another time.
So that's interesting because I thought that I was the only one who was just picking this up. But even though you had seen it before, Ryan, this was really like, I mean, it's been several years since
Yeah.
then. And I mean, I'm sure you might have seen clips or something in
Mhm.
between that time. It wasn't just like cold turkey, no more over the garden
Mm.
wall for however many years,
Yeah.
for 9, 10
I
years.
saw merch.
But
Yeah.
yeah, oh
I
yeah,
know.
get yourself some merch.
Get
But
yourself some Greg merch, guys. Come
I
on.
I just assumed it was something that Ethan had seen like every year since it came out. I don't know, it just had that vibe to it, which is interesting because
Yeah.
also said that Ryan, where you said it just kind of felt like an Ethan thing. I don't know. I can't really explain it.
Yeah.
Superficial
Bro.
at best,
An
but
Annalise
It's
saw the
wow.
were the main character, and she was like, he looks like Ethan." She's like, "That is Ethan."
Wow. For our audience out there, I promise I'm not 1'4", and
yeah,
We have a
I don't wear
giant
kettles on
TV.
my
No,
head.
I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
It's just Greg's like 7 feet tall.
But yeah.
No, I definitely vibed with it felt very much like I grew up on the Phineas and Ferb
Mhm.
train, like hardcore, and then I love Gravity Falls a lot. And this definitely had Gravity Falls vibes for me. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
I
like
agree.
a mix of like fun and like spooky mystery stuff kind of going
Yeah.
on. And also, I mean, I hate to say it again, but man, it had some Tolkien vibes going on. Like
Mm.
you said,
Oh,
the fantasy adventure in like old August Americana style.
yeah. I hear it
It was
related a lot of jokes about it being like Dante's Inferno. It's like
yeah, no,
the
it is
yeah,
literally that is
yeah.
literally what it is. Yep,
That's
yep.
awesome.
Do you guys have any favorite characters from this or like people you related to the most through this
Mm,
series?
I'll say for me, there's a lot of good side characters I actually very much enjoyed, and I'm kind of indifferent sometimes to quirky side characters because sometimes it can be
mhm,
like trying too hard, but they had a good balance. Like they felt real in the world, and I think that's kind of what got me into the show was specifically the Highwayman. There
Mhm.
was something
I'm the
about
Highwayman.
there was something about uh like his just interrupting and he's just like I'm the highwayman. He's like cool
Like,
and then
oh,
he just like
okay.
goes back in and starts singing. I was like okay, I'm bought in now, like that's so the horse, did the horse have a name? I forget.
I think it was Paul, right?
Is it
Was it
Paul?
Paul?
I don't remember actually. Yeah.
I'm
I think it was
sorry,
Peter or Paul.
horse.
Peter
But the
Um,
Pan.
horse was hilarious and the the introduction of the horse talking just made me laugh and everything the horse said was good.
oh no, it was Fred.
Fred the horse.
Fred.
Yeah.
So there are a lot
Yeah.
of side characters I liked, and
Mhm.
um, the wood Christopher Lloyd, the woodsman, right? Is that what he
Mhm.
was called?
Yeah. Yeah. The
He
With
Woodsman.
was
the
he was
yeah.
probably my favorite character.
Yeah.
Um, he's
He's
a really
good.
good character. So, a side note is the voice acting in
The
the show
voice
is also
cast.
something that really hooked me, and
Mm.
helped me to stick through it and enjoy it. And then the story caught up to that. But first thing I really noticed was the voice acting was really good. Like, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think there was a weak performance from anyone. I
Mhm.
thought
Yeah.
it was really strong. But the woodsman, and I relate a lot to Wirt, so I mean, I guess in
Yeah.
that way.
Mm.
He was a good character. I liked him a lot, but I don't know. There's a lot of good characters. I would have to say probably the woodsman though.
The
Yeah.
woodsman. That's
Yeah.
Woodsman is good.
a good
Yeah. I
character.
think I obviously really love the brother dynamic. I guess they're half brothers.
Yeah.
With Wirt
Plot
and
twist.
Greg. Yeah. Spoilers. Sorry guys. There will be spoilers in this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
to
Go
tell you
watch
that now.
Over the Garden Wall if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I I loved Greg a lot. I thought there was a cool dynamic between him and Wirt. How he was just
Mhm.
like he could not be sad. Like he just
Mhm.
was like you know basically a positive like force the whole time. It was really
Yeah.
neat. I loved the Highwayman. He made me laugh. And then I really enjoy. I had a couple episodes that were my favorite. I think the Highwayman episode and the frog boat episode, like those were just so comfy
Yeah.
cozy, man. I loved the frogs and like I consistently reference to my wife specifically the three frogs who are singing with George Washington frog, when he's singing, and
Uh-huh.
they
Yeah.
go wow wow. Those guys are like some of my favorite characters in this show. I don't know why, but there's that one moment where they're just sitting there and they're going back and forth with each other on this frog boat. I was like, I love you guys so much. I don't even know if they have names,
Wow.
They
but I really enjoyed their. I thought the voice acting was phenomenal. It was
Yeah.
it was just it was a good moment. It was a good moment. But I
Yeah.
also just love that episode. So it's an
that is a good
iconic
episode.
scene.
Good characters. I love the frog, known by so many names, but
So
So
many
many.
names.
uh
Too many.
too
Finally,
many.
Jason Funderburker. I call him George
Yes.
Washington though.
George
George
Washington,
Washington's a good
Kitty,
one.
uh
Kitty. Yeah.
Kitty, Benjamin
and
Franklin.
I just
Benjamin
love how
Franklin.
that's how it starts, is him giving all these names, and he's like, "But I think the worst name for this frog is," and then doesn't say anything. And
Yeah,
then the show kinda
yeah,
ends with Wirt giving him this name. I think
yeah,
that's kind of like this full circle moment, and
Mhm.
yeah.
that's really fun. But I like the frog dynamic and that moment where Greg, like, sees this frog like being set up for success with his singing voice that he didn't know he had. And then he's like getting like a foot massage, like by this warm fire, and like assigning like
Mm,
record labels and stuff. And then he's like, "Ain't that just the way?" Like, I'm losing
Yeah.
yeah,
my
Yeah.
pet frog. And then the frog comes back to him. It's just like it's so wholesome. Like, oh, that's sweet. So I like the frog a lot, even though it's like
yeah,
this dumb frog that doesn't do anything for the plot at all, except Greg loves it. And yeah, I think Gregory is probably my favorite character. I think I quote him
yeah.
uh the most out of everyone, just with candy camouflage and some other one-liners that he
Candy
has. He's just the funniest, and his optimism
Mm,
is something I don't have.
ain't that just
And
the way?
he's like the complete opposite of me. Uh and that's why I love him, you know? And
Mm,
he just like he's dressed like an elephant the whole time. You just don't see coming. It was just
yeah,
so funny.
yeah.
It's
You
classic.
don't.
But what are some ways in this this mini series that make it feel nostalgic? Or did it feel nostalgic? Like it was your first time watching it more
Mm.
recently. Did it already have that nostalgic feeling to you guys? And why do you think that was?
Yeah, I think so. I think it did, but that's also because it is in the style of a lot of shows that come from an era when we were kids. So I
Mm,
think like the show itself is modeled in a way that is kind of Obviously, like it reflects a lot on the old Americana August, like autumnal art style,
Yeah.
which is already like you see paintings like that in your grandma's house as you're growing up of the like the cottage house, like that scene of the like the mill house with the trees. Like that's a pretty I think at least for me I would see paintings like that like your Hobby Lobbies and stuff like that growing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And then mix that with like the like I referenced the score earlier. I thought that was such a cool kind of like with all the strings, and it was like this mix of like dissonance, and it was so cool. Um, so I think it does play into kind of that warm that like August warmth that you kind of grow up going on trick or treat. Like when you're a kid, you kind of feel like Wirt and Greg as
Yeah.
you're going trick or treating. Like you feel like you're walking through like if you lived in a neighborhood where there were trees, you feel like you're walking through this like dark forest kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think there definitely was an aspect of that, and then I also think it was just that classic Cartoon Network 2D animation that was just kind of Disney Channel, Disney XD had all these shows that were kind of in a similar style, and so it kind of just fit into that category for me,
Hmm.
like specifically with like a Gravity Falls, like it
Yeah.
looked a lot. Or Phineas and Ferb, with the thin line drawing on the
Yeah.
animation, it was just kind of similar stuff. So no, I thought that was definitely there for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious because Ryan had mentioned like if it was nostalgic before I'd watched it. Had mentioned that was going to be
Yeah,
maybe a question, and I was kind of like, I you hear a lot of people talk about it, and I wasn't sure if that was going to resonate with me or not. But like Ethan said, a lot of it is the animation, the title cards, and the music kind of pull from old cartoons. I
Hmm.
felt like,
yeah,
especially the title cards had that old like Walt Disney cartoon look to it,
yeah,
and a lot of like what Ethan said, a lot of the animation and stuff. But I also felt too that the story about the kind of the arc with Wirt um
mm,
at like the Halloween party and like this awkward stage you're in when you're an early teenager and you're not very confident in yourself, but you still want to do these things or you still want to try to be more confident than you are. And it just made me think about like high school and stuff like that and like going to Halloween parties or different things that I hadn't thought about in a while. And it did make me
mm,
nostalgic in a way where it was like I relate so much to how he acts in this at a time and a lot of the stuff he does and his uncertainties, his lack of confidence, and he wants to give Sarah this tape or whatever. And it was just like, I don't know.
mm,
I found it made me nostalgic for my own like early teenage years. And so I think it was a good way where it's not even the show itself, it just is able to you're able to see yourself in it and see
mm,
your teenage life and your growing ups. So it was nostalgic in that way for me.
Yeah.
mm,
I like that. It definitely made me think too on my past, even like sibling relationships. I didn't have
Mm.
yeah,
any half brothers or anything, but I did have um like we adopted some, so we had like some relationships like
Yeah.
that. So I think there's that nostalgic a factor that you got to like relate to and look back on. But I think
yeah,
there was also, and the style, like you said, that they were drawing from, and they like pulled different elements from different things. Like I think the frog episode on the boat and some other chase sequences, like the gorilla, like reminded me of Tom and Jerry or other
Mhm.
old cartoons where they're
yeah,
like chasing them around, old things, and they had like their own style to it, but it still felt like that old cartoon
Yeah.
nostalgic, like
yeah,
Saturday morning vibe to
Mhm.
me, you know.
yeah,
But it was still like for a purpose. Like Tom and Jerry, you could pick up on any episode,
Yeah.
yeah,
and it didn't matter. Like there wasn't like an overarching plot. But with this, it was like you got a Tom and Jerry episode within this whole entire story, and
Mhm.
yeah,
it kind of it had like a reminder within it, and that kind of made me feel some nostalgia. Um,
yeah,
but I think it really just it does make me makes me love Over the Garden Wall even more. Like seeing how much they cared about almost like every aspect of this story,
Mm,
and like
yeah.
choosing to go with a mini series and not like a movie or
Yeah.
um something else. Like it does feel purposeful, you know. Do you think
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
reason? Do you think this would have worked as a movie?
I think it would have worked as a movie. I don't know if as well. Um because I do like, even though I watched it all in one sitting, I
Hmm.
like how you said earlier when you first watched it, Ryan, there was like split up weekly or split up over a course of
Mhm.
time. I like how you have that option with a
Hmm.
mini series. That's something that you can do with a movie, but it's like not supposed to be that way, like
Yeah.
ideally.
Yeah.
So I think too for like a show or a kid show, it being broken up that way is probably more helpful too, so it's not has to be in one sitting. I am curious if it would flow just a little better as a movie. Because I was watching it in one sitting. I don't know, because all the episodes, they almost feel like there's a little bit of time in between them, right? Where they're
Mm,
not
Yeah.
happening like back to back. So maybe it's fine then as a mini series.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it works. I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah, I'm kind of there. I think you can make it work as a movie for sure. I like it when you have an opportunity to sit with a story for a long time. Like in I don't know, like that's the reason I like things like Gravity Falls, where it's like it's limited. They only did 2 seasons, but you feel like the character is also existing in this world off screen.
Yeah.
And so it's not just this one, you know, you sit down, you're experiencing this like, you know, maybe even at most like a week period in the life of this character in one sitting. You're like, okay, this I get to experience this piece, and this is one whole story in and of itself, and that has its own significance. And then the character is going to continue to exist until I pick it up in the next thing, and then they're going to walk
Hmm.
through this together. So I don't, I just I enjoy that because for me with something like similar to Gravity Falls, where you know Dipper and Mabel they're living life in Gravity Falls between the time like the episodes.
Yeah.
And same thing here. I felt like Greg and were still there and figuring things out with Beatrice in between episodes. And also, I think a miniseries allows you to have like quick changes in plot. Like in a movie, you have to make the schoolhouse, you know, connect with the boat pretty quickly.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Versus in like a miniseries, you can start somewhere and end somewhere, and it doesn't necessarily have to flow naturally into the next thing. I mean, it does in the sense that there's an arcing story and they're moving
Yeah.
at first to like Adelaide's house, but like you can throw in these like you know small chunks of little stories. I think a lot easier into a movie because it's or sorry into a miniseries because it's more like an anthology. It's like a lot of little stories put together
Yeah.
into one big thing. So
That's a
I don't
good
know.
point.
I like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
miniseries.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think I liked it as a mini series, and I think if it was like a movie, we wouldn't have got to like grow with them, like you said. Like
mm,
we'd only get to
Mhm.
see little snippets, and with the mini series, you almost get to feel like you're growing with them and
yeah,
living life at the same time they're living life,
yeah,
and they'd have to cut around things, but not saying it wouldn't
Yeah.
work, like you
yeah,
said. Like they definitely could adapt it, but
yeah,
I don't think they should. I think they should just let it be.
It would just be Lord of the Rings. It'd just be
It'd
yeah.
just be Lord of the Rings.
it
Yeah,
would just be
you
Lord
could
of the
make it
Rings.
super long, and it's a 3.
Yeah.
There you go.
What if we just made a 10-part movie series?
Bro, and we cast Elijah Wood in it too. You know,
Oh,
so that'd be
he could play the Highwayman.
yeah, bro. I'm the Highwayman. No, we cast Elijah Wood as a like inexperienced traveler, doesn't really
Mm,
understand the secrets of the woods yet because he's from
Mhm.
a town where he's lived his whole life.
yeah,
Yeah.
Traveling with technically best buddy, but they get annoyed at each other at certain moments.
Yeah.
And a little slimy creature that goes along with them. I think Elijah Wood would really fit into a role
Yeah.
yeah,
like that.
I
yeah,
think it'd be something new for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, something he hasn't really crossed that bridge before, you know?
No.
Yeah.
So,
It really open up his career as
Yeah.
an
yeah, man,
actor.
this could
That
be
would be
his
We
good.
could
this
we
could
could
be his
save
big break.
we could
Yeah,
save Elijah Wood's career right now.
Wow.
I
that
know
would
he's
be good.
watching the show.
I feel
Yeah.
like you guys keep bringing up the Highwayman. People who have just watched this without watching Over the Garden Wall just think that he's a very important character and
He is, he
has this
he
huge
is.
he
role.
very much is,
Do you think
yeah.
he has
He is,
like a
bro.
deeper meaning within this, or are
I
there
was
any?
curious, like I haven't
Mm,
put in my own thought, but I was like, he has such a dedicated scene where it definitely could just be for jokes and for humor. Like it's so random that he
yeah,
just has a whole scene to himself.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. I don't really remember the lyrics of what he said all too well. So I don't
yeah.
know. But I was like curious. Like I don't know if that's something that you or Ethan had thought about or know more about.
Well, you actually mentioned this earlier, Isaac. The whole thing is loosely based off Dante's Inferno. Like
Mhm.
that's what the whole show is based off. Um, and so I don't think that the Highwayman in particular necessarily represents anything. I mean, you could stretch it, I think, and say like in Inferno, the fourth circle of hell is greed, and that episode is the fourth episode, and
Mm.
he's like this guy that robs people. So you could like I think make a stretch and say that, but I think he is part of that group of people in the
In the
tavern,
yeah.
which I think I'm pretty sure. I don't know, and I've looked a little into this, but I think everyone in the unknown, which is on the other side of the wall,
Mm,
is dead,
mm,
and they're
Mm.
all because like if you look in the graveyard scene, you can see like Quincy Endicott's grave. He's like leaning up against it.
Oh.
So like everyone on that side of the wall, I think is dead, and it's like their souls are. So Wirt and Greg are in this kind of in between place where
Yeah.
it's like all these people that are in the unknown are in a state of like unrest with their particular thing. So, and you could, you know, extrapolate that out for each character, but they
Yeah.
are basically in a state of unrest until the beast is dealt with.
Mhm.
And so when the beast is dealt with, that's where you get that end scene of them, all living out their lives. And it doesn't show the Highwayman, but I assume he went back to doing something. I don't know. I don't know what his
That was
eternity looks like.
like a really good like analogy, and then it came back to the Highwayman. That was really
Yeah,
good.
man, bro. I had to
always
bring it
always
back to
comes
him.
back to the Highwayman, man.
The whole show comes back to that. But I think he could represent. He could easily represent greed, and
Mhm.
like all those people are kind of caught up, and the people in the bar are kind of caught up with their identity is in their work.
mhm,
Yeah.
And so, uh,
Yeah.
what happened? Like I'm pretty like in Inferno, the people who were greedy are forced to push the boulder. The whole push a boulder up a hill,
Yeah.
it rolls
Oh
down.
yeah.
So, like, you could look at it as like this is them having to exist in the afterlife with their work. They have to work and work and work and work and never stop
Mm.
working.
Mhm.
So,
mhm.
I don't know. There's a lot of little pieces of that in the show. So,
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's really good.
I like that. Any other uh metaphors that you
Bro, there's
want
so
to
many.
mention?
I think one that is really intriguing to me is the Beast. And really, as you get to the end of the episodes, him obviously representing the devil, but in the ninth circle of hell, um, that's where traitors are.
Mhm,
And so basically what it is it's a frozen lake. And so I think it's interesting that
mm,
when we get to that scene with the beast, he never really exits the forest, and
Mhm.
where he specifically lives is in this like blizzard in the middle of the
Yeah.
forest. And so I think that's really really neat. And the guy that serves him is the woodsman, who it implies that he lost his daughter through some uh, tragedy, but you could look at it as like, oh, maybe he is held by this guilt of did he betray his daughter by not saving her, and so that's why he's in the frozen lake area. But yeah, it's that whole idea of the ninth circle and that people who are lost souls become the trees. The people in the ninth circle slowly get more and more caught up in the ice.
Mm.
as you go down. So like it starts with people who are like partially submerged, and then eventually get down to like Judas, who's like completely in the ice. And so like Greg, when he sacrificed himself, he started like partially getting covered in the tree, and then you see throughout the show there's these just complete trees where people are completely
Yeah.
lost inside, and then they take the sap and they burn it. So it's just like the whole hell analogy is, I think, there throughout, which is kind of freaky. But that one in particular, like the Beast and his role, I think really reflects Inferno in a really neat way. And then there's obviously themes of redemption at the end there when
Yeah.
they blow out the the fire of hell gets blown out, and people are free to basically move on. So I don't know. It's an interesting. There's a whole bunch you could look at. You could literally narrow it down to the details and look
Mm-hmm.
at. Oh my gosh, her name's Beatrice. That's a character. Like what? But
Yeah.
I think you could spend hours talking about that. But they do a really good job of also, I think, separating it
Hmm.
to where like Go Over the Garden Wall is its own thing. It is not a
Yeah.
one for one to Dante's Inferno. It's its
Yeah.
own story, but it is a really good example of a modern adaptation, I think,
Yeah.
of an
Yeah.
old story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's very fun. It's its own thing. But I
yeah,
think that's really cool. Very interesting. Where you'd think it's its own thing, and then you like look into it,
yeah,
and then you're like, oh man, it's done before. But it's something where you don't get
yeah,
mad about, where it's like
hmm
they adapted it in its own way, and they didn't
yeah.
just like retell it the exact
Mm-hmm.
same way, one to one, like
Which
you
I feel
said.
like that's really hard to do.
That is
Like
a really
that's
hard
Yeah.
thing to do.
really hard to
Yeah.
make something that's an adaptation of an older story,
Yeah.
but also make it in a way where it stands on its own, and you love the characters of this show
Hmm.
Yeah.
like a lot
Yeah.
for who they are. So I don't tying those two things together feels like I know it's something that's very difficult. So I just
Yeah.
major props to the team that I don't even know who I can't remember the guy's name who wrote this, but like the way that it was written and designed was really
Yeah.
well. So
And to
Yeah.
make it
yeah,
funny, like
Yeah.
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 that.
Talk about
It's a
hell,
deep.
and it's hilarious.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
lighthearted at times, but
Yeah,
also has this like undertones of darkness and
Yeah.
eternity and
yeah,
souls being lost forever. Like
And that's a
that's
hard
heavy.
balance because if you lean too much into comedy, there's no stakes and
Yeah.
there's no
yeah,
fear. And if you lean too much into the existential or the fear, then the jokes feel like superficial. They don't feel like
yeah,
they have weight or merit. So that's a good
yeah,
balance that they struck.
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah. I
where I
think
think Greg is super important
right.
because
Yeah.
Greg operates as yeah, he's funny, he's goofy, he's silly, but he also is a symbol, I think, of specifically for Dante, Christian hope
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
in the face of trial, and for in like his childlike faith, that whole thing. And he's consistent. He's goofy, he's funny, and he's also consistent. He's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, oh, you're gonna not lead anymore. Cool. I guess that means I'm gonna lead, and I'm gonna figure this out. And he's just like so kind of like naive, but also like really on it the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really
Yeah.
it's he I think is a really key, obviously a really key character, but to he helps strike that balance. I think between this being a spooky fall show
Yeah.
and a lighthearted cartoon. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
had a question. This could be cut if it goes nowhere if you don't know anything about it, but I'm just really curious. In the dream where Greg in the episode where Greg's dreaming
Mm.
and
yeah,
they're like going through all the committees and stuff, it like cuts to this weird face and it's just
the
staring
dog.
the dog
Yeah,
thing. And I was just really curious, like, is that anything? Is that just weird? Or because
I
I was like,
have
that felt so
absolutely no idea.
specific. Yeah. So if I
Yeah.
mean, if
Maybe.
anyone knows, but I mean, if this can be cut too, if
That's so
it's
funny.
like
I feel like that
nothing. But
was
I
like the same thing with the Highwayman, where he's like, I'm the
yeah
Highwayman, and
Yeah.
then he's like, okay, and then goes back, and then you're ready for it to like go back to this dog gloom creature, and then it never does.
Yeah.
yeah
And then
yeah.
Yes.
But it doesn't even make a sound. It's just like
No,
staring. And
it's just
I
yeah,
was like, that's so interesting. Like,
yeah.
is that just weird for the sake of weird, or
yeah,
which it probably is, but I was just curious if there was
Yeah. That's actually
I don't
I
know.
didn't even
I
think
have
about
no
that.
idea. I have no
That's a
idea
great
though.
question. Cuz
yeah,
he's like a
It's,
weirdo looking dog thing.
yeah.
And then
and
they
it's like
immediately go to
so
the North Wind.
it's so disconnected from everything else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
stood out to me when I watched that episode.
That's a great question. Someone out there has to have answered that question for me.
Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully so.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's a good question. A good thinker.
That's what Dante was envisioning when he was writing Inferno. He's like, I need a dog. I need a
Yeah,
dog
I
He
need
like
over
draws
a
it out.
there. I'm
yeah,
gonna be eating my pasta,
a
and he's over
sad
there.
look.
Sad looking dog.
Oh,
That's
sad dog.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Was there anything in this that you guys didn't like over the garden wall that you were like,
This is gonna
not for
be
me?
controversial,
Get it?
and probably get me banned from the show. I will say, because I said earlier, it took me a few episodes to get into it, and to be perfectly honest, for me personally, the comedy of the first 2 episodes, it was just not hitting for me.
Yeah.
There was something I like Greg grew on me, but starting out I
Mhm.
like did not I don't know, I was like indifferent or I didn't care.
Yeah.
He just had all the makings of just like a random quirky side character that I don't particularly like. Um in the first 2 episodes. I think by episode maybe 4, is that the tavern one? I think.
Episode 4 is the Tavern one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
I
one
think.
that like I was like, okay, I'm in it now. Like it got I think just the introductions of all the weird side characters and maybe that kind of just made it feel more normal, but some of the comedy in the first episode particularly, I think was just kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really feels like the first episode felt almost like a pilot. I don't think it was, but
Mm.
I noticed that like the animation looked better in the second episode, I thought.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so I don't know if they were still finding their footing in the first episode, but it wasn't a super strong start. Visually, it's strong. Like it's its own
Yeah.
thing. I like how it looks. I like the voice acting. It was just some of the comedy felt a little stiff and
Yeah.
awkward. And then
Yeah.
I think it gets better as the show goes on though. But that'd
Yeah.
Mhm.
probably be the only thing I did not care for.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. No, I think I was carried a lot through the first episode by just the look and the score, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool. And I thought this is just like gonna be another little cute like
Yeah.
show. Like I wouldn't really have expectations. I think going into it, and so I think I also, as it progressed, I was like, oh, there's something more going on here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit. I think the only thing, like, I loved the fact that this was set originally as if it was taking place in the past. I thought that was really cool. And
Mhm.
originally, when I watched it, I didn't like the fact that they're actually living in the present.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. Which I like now that I see it in its entirety. I'm like, that is really cool how they did that. That's really neat. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that episode where it shows them in the present. I was like, that's probably my least favorite episode,
Yeah, that's
even
Mm.
though it
fair.
does provide the context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because,
It's just
like,
such a tonal shift, right?
yeah,
Like,
and I do understand. I love the trope that they did, where it's like, oh, these are that differentiates the real world from this kind of purgatorial place,
Yeah.
and which is cool. Um, I don't know. That episode I think was good and gave context, but I don't know. Maybe there could be something changed with the backstory to where it's not just so separated. I don't know.
it
I don't
almost
know.
felt
I
like
don't
they
even know
need
what
a
you would
little more
change.
time to
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. And it was good. And again, not that it was a. I don't even know what I would change about it in that sense. I really enjoyed thinking. These guys are in this mystical place, but they're not that far away from it in reality.
Mhm.
But their
Mhm.
real life is really removed from the the unknown, which people would probably say that's a strength. But I don't know. That's
Yeah.
one thing where I was just like, I can't decide what I think about that yet.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I feel like
that's kind of where
it
I'm
is
at.
sad because you feel like you're connected to these characters in this place,
Yeah.
and then you learn
Yes.
they're not even there. So you kind of
Yeah. I
feel
think
lied
that's
to, and then you're
yes.
like,
That's it.
yeah, I agree with you, but I think it is like a necessary.
Mhm.
episode.
Yeah.
But it does
Yeah.
make you feel just
100%.
like almost like uh
Ugh.
you don't trust them. Yeah, and heartbroken where it's
Think
like,
you know
wait.
a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
lied to.
Because like all the other characters are like old timey lives, and so it's just
Mhm.
kind of crazy. Like when they go back to their, ever after their eternity, I guess they're all in, you know, this like colonial American life,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
then for them, they're back in like the 2010s. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just different.
Yeah.
Maybe in the live action they'll change that. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's a rock fact.
That's a rock
Oh
fact.
my goodness, that'd be such a cringy live action, bro. I don't know if I
Yeah.
would change all too much. I think they did a great job. I think all characters felt
Hmm.
necessary to me, and
Yeah.
even when they got rid of characters, like Fred was there for a season and then just not
I want to
there, you
steal.
know. Yeah, he just like had his moment in the
Yeah.
spotlight and then he was gone. And then so I don't think I'd get rid of anyone or add anyone. I think the
More
darker
Highwayman.
tones, yeah, get rid of Highwayman. And my friends talk about him way too
Get
much.
rid.
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
It
more
wouldn't.
Highwayman.
It wouldn't even be the same show without him.
Yeah, Isaac would have never get him in
I.
earlier, the
Yeah,
first
that's
episode.
true. Put him in the first episode, I would have been hooked.
He needs his own series.
He
Um,
does. That'd be too much Highwayman.
yeah, I think darker tones is hard for me when like it's because I talk about this a lot. Like, who's it for? Who's the audience? Like if
Mm,
it's for kids and these darker tones are present, like is that okay? Is that justified?
mm,
Because it's like it is a dark world that we're in, and I
Mhm.
want to show kids that in a healthy way and
yeah.
not like an unhealthy like yeah this is
Mhm.
evil it's good but it's like yeah this is evil and it's bad and I feel
Yeah.
like Over the Garden Wall does that does that well but it can almost feel cutesy at times where he's like
Mm,
you have beautiful eyes and it's like it's kind of weird and uh it can have like almost a glorifying of darkness. I think there's that line that we have to walk as Christians of showing like evil but not like we don't want to hide from it and act like there isn't evil in the world,
yeah.
but we don't want to glorify it. And
Yeah.
I think Over the Garden Wall does well on
I think
that.
so too. I
But
think they do a
Mhm.
good job of walking that line of
yeah.
presenting like mystery and like a really good villain in the
Hmm.
Beast, who's like he's not gonna stab you in the face or like
Mhm.
eat your face. He's
Yeah.
like gonna like he's goes up to the woodsman. He's like, listen to me. He's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I think is a really and he just lies the whole time and gets word almost at the end to think, oh yeah, you just switch him out. When in
Hmm.
Mhm.
reality, that would take the beast soul out of the lantern. So I think it's like they do a good job of representing like high stakes evil. There
Yeah.
are some
Yeah.
scenes that are like kind of freaky, like the
Yeah.
Lorma
Yeah.
scene, bro. I was like, whoa, that was kind of. And then the when it like briefly shows the beast's actual like,
That was
bro, it's like
good. That was like
it's
really
scary looking.
creepy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, and they
So
showed it just right amount of time where it was just
yeah, it's like
real quick.
oh
Blink and you miss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So but I think they do a good job of balancing. Like, would I show it to a 5-year-old? I don't know if I would show those episodes to a 5-year-old. But the other episodes, I think, is like it's enough. There's enough Greg. There's enough potatoes and molasses in the
Yeah.
show, so to speak, to where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, it is a goofy show. I think in a lot of ways. So, but
Yeah.
that's a good point. I think it's like, where is that line between this is good, like it's conveying a message without being like, you know, an absolute like thrasher film kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah, and it's a cartoon. Like, it's like when people are like,
Yeah.
"It's a cartoon, it's for kids," and then being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
wait, it's not for all kids." Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
tough. But, yeah,
Cartoon Network did that a lot, though. I felt like Cartoon
yeah,
Network had a
that's
lot of
true.
shows where it was
Cartoon
like,
Network was edgy.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, it was more like teens. So I think it was a good Cartoon Network
yeah,
show. Like, I think it
yeah.
was on the right it was on the right
Dun, dun,
channel.
Yeah.
ba, dun.
It was on, like,
Yeah. I think just
Disney.
knowing the context of like you don't just put the TV on for anything for your kid, right? You're not like, here you go, just go find something to watch.
Right.
It's just like more so on the parents of if you
Yeah.
don't want your kid seeing this, do research before you just give this to your kid and just say,
Mhm.
well, the show should,
Yeah.
and like that's what you're saying too. You feel like the show shouldn't change to fit, like to
Right.
be the humor that your wife likes or that other people would get, or change that. It's like the show is the show,
Yeah.
but you just need to know what it is before you just watch it and that's not just for this. That's just for anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Oh, did you guys have any key takeaways from this show?
I'm the highwayman.
You steal people, drag them off to
yeah.
the ditch, steal their shoes.
I just was really impressed. Again, I think the biggest thing for me was the how they took an old story and revamped it.
Mm,
Like that was just so cool, and they added their own you know characters to it, and it was really interesting. And my boys, the frogs, singing on the boat, were just a vibe. And so it's
Yeah,
just
this
a vibey
very
show.
vibey.
It's a
yeah.
great fall show. I'm a big fan.
It made me want to make stuff. Like I always like if I watch something and I want to create, that's like a real good sign of like
Hmm.
it's in that realm of creativity, and maybe even it's just in world building or something where you just want to go out and make something now. And that's how I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
after watching this. So, I don't know. It's a very like creatively like refreshing show. It
Mm.
feels
Mm.
very much its own. Uh yeah, I don't know.
I think my key takeaway that I had like after watching it was caring more about like other people and not
Mm.
myself. Like I feel like Wirt was
Yeah.
very in his head
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
everything, and if he
Good.
like actually looked around and cared more about uh other people and not himself, he would have seen
Mm.
Sarah and like how much she wanted to spend time with him, and he
Yeah.
would have just cared to spend time with her and not have been
Yeah.
like as afraid, and even wanted to spend time with Greg, and not just
Mm.
made like empty promises. And so
Yeah.
just
Mm.
like for myself to be like wanting to view other people uh from the lens of seeing them and not them seeing me. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
where it was a lot, where it's like, how is this
Mhm.
person viewing me? And
Mhm.
Mm.
all the time.
Yeah.
But
That's a good
I think
point.
that they did a good job at portraying a lot of like fear and anxiety and
Mm.
like combating that in the end, where he was still like afraid, and he's like, "We'll take it off slow. Like we'll listen to uh, different tapes first, and then we'll lead up to this one." You know, but he
Mm.
was still like showing bravery and commitment
Yeah.
in that, and like it was cool. Whereas like even though you're scared, you're still like stepping out. Like courage isn't you have no fear. It's doing
Yeah.
something despite being afraid.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think that was a takeaway I had from watching this show.
There's a lot of good commentary on, I think, anxiety and fear and that kind of even guilt like that. Like I think it really does a good job of capturing that into the different characters
Yeah.
and being like, hey, look, the answer isn't to fight this anxiety directly like the woodsman is. He's like going at it trying to kill it. Wirt just walked away, and I think that was
Mhm.
really neat. He was like, "Don't engage," and I think that was a really cool way
Mhm.
of commentating on mental health and on like the spiritual battle as well. It's
Yeah.
like just walk away from
Yeah.
the engagement that fear kind of wants to have with you, and don't get caught in that feedback loop. That I think the woodsman kind of exemplified until he was freed by Wirt's actions.
Yeah.
Wirt
Yeah.
was looking outside of himself at that point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for watching Over the Garden Wall with me, guys, and talking about it.
Of
It's been really
course.
fun. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I mean, how much more can I say it, man? The Highwayman, probably
The
one of the greatest
Highwayman.
characters ever developed for the silver screen. And
Yeah,
I do think if he had his own show, it would not be good at all. I think he has the perfect amount of screen time. I think if he
just
had
what we
a
needed.
scene more, I think it would have been too much. Like they just hit that
Yeah,
perfect sweet spot. So if you can write a character, y'all watching our dedicated listeners, if you guys can write a character 10% as endearing as the Highwayman, then you got a career.
Yeah.
ahead of you.
You do.
Yeah.
You're gonna be great.
And you can quote me
Yeah.
on that.
Thank you for watching, guys. We love you. Keep writing stories. Keep telling stories.
Tell
Not just to tell stories, but to share stories. And don't forget to remember the moment.
Oh.
And we'll see you
my-
in the next one. Peace.
Farewell.